welcome back to the Work Hates podcast. This week we have got a special guest, a beautiful guest.
Our first guest.
But it might not be. We don't know how we're going to release it.
That's true. I fucked it already, guys. I fucked the podcast
Doesn't
already.
Matter. Hey, we will keep going. Everyone has a nightmare story from work. Freddie and I only recently started working together, and I don't know who's going to be the nightmare by the end of this. For example, Dil, I'm going to introduce you in a sec, but you noticed already Brett does all the setup for everything. I don't know what time you get here, 7 in the morning. Are you just setting
6 a.m. sharp.
6 a.m. right.
I'm actually, if you can't already tell, this is a bar. I was here from last night. I woke up, I'm sweating bullets from last. I never left. I haven't left since last time we recorded here, which was a week ago.
lives here.
That's yeah, exactly. You just pack down and I'll start the pack up again. Like I just wandered in. I said, are you ready? And you were like, no, I'm not ready. Go get a coffee. So I went and got a coffee.
Well, I don't know if that's a good Brett. Was that how I reacted?
No. You're very polite.
Okay.
You're like, guys, I'm a little couple of minutes behind. Go get a coffee. I was like, oh, he's a bit stressed.
So now you're over exaggerating my reaction.
Well,
all right.
That's
comedy though.
But that's how caricaturing works. You heighten the little features that are a bit odd. Like when people draw those pictures, they always make your nose bigger than it actually is.
True. But my girlfriend, I asked her, it was talking about crisis situations. Like, would you be, I think I'm good in a crisis situation. Like if someone was dying, but she goes, you'll be fucking flustered as hell. And I was like, oh yeah, I can see myself like, oh my God, we need a... I think I could save someone, but it'd be like, I'd be having a panic attack during it.
I think if there's a fight or flight or fright syndrome, you always fight. You'll go into the danger, but I think it would not be fun for people around you.
I reckon mine would be fight and flight at the same time. So I'm like, I'm helping, but I want to get the fuck out of there, and I'm panicked or something.
Anyway, I'm Dilruk Jayasinha, and I'm here on the podcast.
This isn't about you. We've actually gone into your podcast, which is about mental health and shit like that. I'm like, do you think I'm more fight or flight? What do you think about me over here? Can we make this about me? Anyway, that's all we have time for this evening, guys. It's
Okay, so we're talking about work, dreadful things that happen at work. And why I brought up the Bretty thing is because he sets up forever and then I wander in and then go get a coffee. However,
which I'm grateful for, thank you.
Hey, it's on Brett's tab. I like a little bit of structure, whereas Bretty likes no structure whatsoever. So this is a beautiful relationship that started as workmates. Yes. We don't know who's going to hate more at the end. Who do you reckon?
Who do you reckon is going to be the angry one?
Angry? Angry? Not like, I mean, your emotions are more on the surface.
Yes, that's true.
Whereas
I'm crying as we speak. It's just so beautiful. This lighting looks great. Thanks for coming. You're a really good friend.
You appreciate your own work. That's very important.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just all comes down to that. But my question was, when you said structure, though, you feel like he doesn't like structure? Because look at this. Like I felt like there was a lot of structure that went in. But once the pod starts,
I like this structure, and then I like to turn off and have fun.
Okay, right.
But you were a teacher, weren't you? So that makes sense.
Anyway. So I don't know who's going to be the nightmare at the end of this work relationship.
Right.
I reckon it's me.
Okay. I'm putting my money on you as well.
I reckon,
No.
But when you say you love fighting, I was one of 5 kids and I will win.
Oh, I'm scared of you.
Yeah.
There's the reason why there's a guest between us.
You don't have to talk, Dil.
4 siblings?
Yeah.
Yeah, why did you fall in the middle?
I was third.
Third, right in the smack bang in the middle.
Yeah, so I was like, I fought mostly my little brother until he got stronger. But my sister, she was rough as guts. Oh, Amy Lewis. She punched me in the face. We shared a room.
Is that why? Oh, sorry.
Okay, yes. My lips are bleeding.
This isn't lipstick. Yeah.
I opened it. We had a sliding door to our room. I opened it up and I think she just... You know when you don't care about being in the nude as a kid and then all of a sudden you decide you do care?
Yeah. And no one look at my pussy. That's what I used to scream anyway. I got an Audi though. It's an Audi pussy. Yeah.
But obviously
I like to imagine your pussy with a mullet as well. So
the carpet does match a drape.
Yeah. It's short in the front, but you got a lot of ass hair.
Why is his pussy got a cigarette?
God.
That could actually be on the Work Hate pod. when I use, I'm jumping in. Can I jump in with a
Yeah.
Well, I just want to quickly, why you got punched?
Because I've got a cigar.
What did you do to get punched?
Vagina story.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay,
You
We
go.
have to come back. There's some
We'll come back to that.
Tijuana shit. Let's come back to that. But yeah.
So Amy obviously went through the stage of like deciding she didn't want to be seen in the nude anymore, and I was younger than her. So and that's a silent decision when you decide that actually my body's a private temple. And so I just opened the door, and she was standing there ready, just in her towel, and she just learnt, like our stepdad, he was also white trash. He taught us,
I know
like
that
if it's
motion
like
already.
the limp, then, like keep it loose.
Something like that, like Napoleon Dynamite or something. Like you're just in the fucking countryside, just practicing karate.
Also, you've got so long to react to a punch like that. It's like
Yep.
you're doing that, and then you're doing the full.
Absolutely, but when you're 10, you are like, what's she doing with her hand? Why is it coming out? Oh, it's on my nose.
How old is she? How old are you?
She's 2 years older, and I reckon she was 12 at that
12
time.
and 10.
12
Yeah,
and 10.
she
Oof,
spun it around and smacked me right there, and I went back, and my head hit the linen press, and then she slid the door shut, and she said, "Stop looking at me, you pervert." So.
And she was right.
Yeah, and
you are a
also
pervert.
she did have a cigar coming out of her fudger.
Yeah.
But what's your story? Do you love a segue?
Yeah, I do love a segue.
Segue.
And you go now. I will. So I used to work at the bar called the Hale Road Tavern, and I can talk shit about it because they knocked it down and built a Coles. And
Wait, hang on. If they didn't, you couldn't be able to talk shit about it? You feel bad or?
no, I wouldn't. You got
Yeah,
me there.
exactly,
I would have
yeah.
done it regardless.
Yeah.
But I used to work as a glassy there, like a bartender / glassy. And then one time we kicked this lady out, like the security kicked the lady out, and she goes, "Hey boys, you want to see a trick?" and we're like, "Yeah, okay." And she goes, "Give us a cigarette." And we're like, "All right." And we gave her a cigarette, and she went on the ground on her back, and then like lifted her leg up, pulled her skirt to the side, and went, and then put the cigarette into her vagina, and then breathed in and breathed out with her vagina. I don't know how, but her vagina was smoking, and still to this day, it is one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
It is an impressive trick. I've only seen it on videos. I've never seen it in real life, but I think in real life, that's
who's the bigger creepier, the person who's seen it in videos or seen it in live?
Me, for sure.
Oh, okay, cool.
Someone who's fucking finding it on the internet is way creepier than someone who was like...
Did you type it into Google search
I don't
bar?
remember, like...
It was locked down. I went onto it. I was on page 18 of Pornhub.
It was like the early stages of the internet, I think, when me and my mates used to go to like a cyber cafe and you just type in stuff to try and see.
Sorry, are you talking about the good old days like rotten.com? You remember that?
I remember that.
Rotten.com.
You just unlocked something, but the rotten was too much for me.
Yeah, it was too much.
There was a shotgun. Yeah, exactly. There was something that the shotgun thing came up and like what it looks like when someone gets, and I was like, I'm done with this. I'm out.
Or do you remember Hot or Not?
No.
Hot or Not, the website. It's so funny. You just go on the website.
Isn't that Tinder?
Well, yeah, it's Tinder V1. And so, like, we'd be like 12 or 13 and on this website, and we used to get stoned and be on Hot or Not. And everyone that was hot, because you put a photo of yourself and people would say hot or not, and then you'd get a rating of how hot you are.
That's how Facebook started.
It's pretty much, this is like V1, but we used to get high and all the hotties would go, nut, yuck, and try and fuck all these like buff dudes, try and fuck their rating.
Good. Okay, but what about for the girls?
Yeah, probably that as well.
Yeah.
And so did they get that feedback?
I think when you log into your account, this is going back a while, you'd log into your account and be like, 80% of people think you're hot.
Or 80% of people think you're
not.
a dog.
Can we put an Instagram like poll to how many people out there think I'm hot? Like, it's not my best look, to be honest. I wasn't aware that this was going to be filmed, and I just came in.
It's
like
4K as well. They can see everything.
I'm in my active wear, but I got Gelato Messina socks.
Oh, they're adorable.
So it's
That's
just to
pretty
remind me about life is balanced, or rather that why I'm having to run so much is because of all the fucking Messina I've eaten.
Did they give you those socks for free?
They should. The amount of money I've given them.
Man,
this was bought to me for
my nan would turn in her grave if she realised how expensive a punnet of fucking ice cream was. You know what I mean? Like you buy it, it's like $20.
A punnet.
Is it a punnet? You scoop it out of the punnet?
Is it a punnet? Punnet is like where you get blueberries and shit, isn't it?
Punnet. You scooped it out of the punnet. Punnet of ice cream.
That's for berries, I think. I don't think anything else has a punnet.
No, I reckon if you watch the movie The Castle and he goes, "What did you do with that, doll?" And she goes, "I scooped it out of the punnet."
What was she talking about? Her blueberries?
Nah, it was ice cream.
Oh, okay.
I'm doubling
Okay.
down.
And
All
And
right.
if we can rely on anything to be accurate linguistically,
Yeah, get
it's
an
the
internet
castle.
immigrant. Yeah, first of all, to be the arbiter.
It's Brett's knowledge of the castle. It's the only thing.
The one guy who's got ADHD.
And do you know the whole time you were talking about having 5 siblings, I was like, oh, what car did they have? You know what I mean? Like, how do you pull that off? 'Cause you put your
Yeah.
sevens-
Drago.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah.
How many seater is that?
It's 3, 6, 8.
Wow, because we just saw I got to see Bron Lewis pre-show, which is where you got dropped off by your husband,
Yes,
lovely
yeah,
husband,
yeah,
and the
the front.
3 kids in the back,
Yes.
and one kid bawling their eyes out, and I was like, and she was like, oh no, don't worry, it's before. I'm like, no, I'm just collecting evidence for my vasectomy.
Yes.
So I was like, this is helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Because
It was like you wind the window down, you're breathing it
Yeah.
in. None of this, thank you.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
no.
Meanwhile, just the equivalent is, so we're meeting up at 10:30. I've set my alarm for 9:45. I've got up,
Incredible.
made myself a little coffee in the nude for that image.
Wow.
Like just going,
Oh, my
no
Lord.
one at home,
Hot,
making myself
hot.
a little
Hit the
coffee,
Definitely hot.
watching like videos about Succession, just the recaps and like
Oh, wow.
analysis. And then I'm like, I'll go do a pod with 2 of my good friends. And then I see you come in with kids screaming as you're leaving. Like, don't worry, it's his problem now.
Yeah, I was like, that's not for me. I'll just go and sit at an empty bar
Yeah.
with a stressed tradie and a man with ice cream socks on.
Also, we've
Where's your promo for this pod?
Go, that's what I do. What a good
wait, am
mum.
I the tradie in this? Yeah.
What the fuck? Isn't the guy wearing an M&M jumper and Messina gelato socks is the tradies?
Oh yeah. I forgot how much you love Eminem. Yeah.
It's the ultimate.
So this is obviously a podcast. This is a structure. This is me trying to
I'll
reel
bring
it in.
structure. Yes,
Yes, you're
yes,
trying to
yes.
get back to the structure of the
All
pod.
right.
Okay, go.
Still,
I mean, I still haven't been introed, so there might be people who don't know who the fuck
you
this
did it
voice
yourself.
You did it yourself.
true, true.
Yeah, you're great.
Hello,
So-
welcome Dilruk Jayasinha, a famous comedian, actor, and I don't know.
Oh yeah, you're on that Utopia. So
I could
great.
have gone with podcast and Fitbit pod.
Yeah.
Podcast, a Fitbit. See, I'm not good at the intro.
Yeah, leave the structure to her.
Yeah.
I think it'll have to be like a Hamish and Andy type sort of the dynamic where you have Andy Lee, aka Bron Lewis, kind of making sure that you veer back the madness that is this.
Yes,
which is
yes.
unfortunate because it's not as mean because you got to remember Andy Lee is extremely funny.
Yeah.
like that, and
Yeah.
but because Hamish
Nice
is so kind
save
of like,
there, Dill.
No, but it's true. It's that.
He's a
It's
king.
that thing of like it requires both teams need to be there to be the juggernaut that they are.
Yeah.
Because if Hamish was left to his own accord, I think it would just be too veer off into talking about pussies and cigars and shit.
Is
You know?
Real Stories
Correct.
2 coming up? That's why you're trying to put a little rap in for it?
Oh no, I was already in 1
You
and
were,
2.
yeah.
I was in 1 and 2, mate.
Oh, man, I
One-
auditioned for that. I was so drunk. Anyway, I did not get it.
How come you didn't get it? So weird. Okay, so we're talking about nightmare stories. I want to tell a story real quick about a nightmare story that I had. Was I started off as the nightmare. I created a nightmare situation,
Yeah.
and then at the end, everyone else was the nightmare. Okay, it was my first year of teaching, and I had this. I complained about kids who were a bit too naughty.
What year level?
They were in year 8.
Oh,
They were
which is
horrible.
age
Yeah,
was?
that's like 13, 14.
Okay. Ooh,
Horrible.
terrible
The
age.
worst ones.
That's the
They're worst
horniest
ones.
age to have dudes as well. They're so just animals.
Oh, they were just really, really horrible. And so I'd go, like, it was kind of like the boy who cried wolf, except it was the new teacher crying fuckhead kid too much. And so I'd like complained a bunch to the teachers. I was like, oh, sorry, these kids, they're just making my class really hard. I'm trying to teach them poetry and it's so weird they don't like it. And they were like, just get on with it. Just do your job. Just get, and I was like, oh. Anyway, this one kid got worse and worse and worse and worse. And so the more I complained about him, they were just like, he's just being a boy. Just leave him alone.
Oh,
No.
did they say boys will be boys?
This is exactly
You're such an
how we
ally.
did it. It's
Such
exactly
look at
how we
this
did
this
it.
future of
This is
ally-
actually a feminist
allyship.
podcast.
Yeah,
so.
no, he did. They did say that to me, and this wasn't all that long ago. It was maybe 12 years ago. And so I said one day this kid he would film me teaching.
That's
And
fucking
then
weird.
It was weird. It was film me teaching, and then he would edit the videos so there'd be a bomb landing on me. Funny, to be fair. Funny.
Pretty good. Like, are we
Creative,
talking
though.
like motion graphics? Are we
Yeah.
talking like, did
And
it look
he-
good?
He
No,
works
it
for
looks-
Peter Jackson now.
He works at Weta.
He works at Weta, exactly.
No, it was dreadful, and like he's from Healesville, Like he's from like he's just some little inbred from the mountains who would kind of wander in and try and ruin
But an inbred with graphic design skills.
I don't know how. I don't know who taught him that. I don't know which uncle had that skill. Anyway, he would do that stuff, and then he would always trying to be, still had laptops, and always trying to find out where I lived. He'd be like, "Where do you live, Miss Lewis?" I'm like, "I'm not going to tell you. Get away from me." And then he'd be like, "Well, actually, which streets are near yours? Don't tell me what your street is." What? And he was like, very obviously just trying to find out where I lived. And this was every day. So we
seems like a police report.
Absolutely, we were complaining about him, but because I was that like squeaky wheel, no one listened to me, and I was like, God, it's really.
But that's the opposite of the sentence, isn't it? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. Where was your oil?
And there was none. It was just given to me.
So squeaky wheel was just annoying to everyone else.
Yeah, they just worked out how to mute it, and then
with oil.
That's right.
Fix the problem.
Yeah. You should be a trainee. But I went into I went into the class one day, and he had put around his desk real bullets.
Fucking hell.
Now, I don't want to get technical once again. What caliber are we talking here? Because if it's a 22, it's like whatever. But if it's like a 308, you're like, well, that can... And is it a full metal jacket? Like, I want to... You know what I mean? Like, is it cute? Is he like... Is it like, hey, it's a gun? Or is it like, hey, it's a gun?
I don't know the difference, but I love that there is.
No.
22.
For me, a bullet means scary.
22, 308.
Yeah.
Go through you, kill a deer.
Oh, wow. So is this what we're talking about here?
Yeah.
Because that makes a difference in a lot of things in life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One can kill a deer. Yeah. I don't know what you...
And one you can't feel. And so I
there you go. Yeah.
But no, they were, I don't know, I'd never seen bullets before, just like just bullets. And he put them all around his desk, and I said, what are they? And he said, I just need you to know that if I had a gun, Miss Lewis, you'd be dead.
Fuck off! I don't want to hear this shit. This scares me.
Yeah.
Teenagers scare me like that song says, scare the living shit out of me as it is.
Yeah.
Let alone when someone's asking for your address, putting graphic designs of bombing you, and then just explicitly saying, oh, I just have bullets. But if I had the delivery system of that bullet, that would be delivered into your body.
Yes, correct, yes.
I love that. And then you go back to the teacher's lounge, you're like, oh, Bron's being dramatic again. He only had a grenade.
The squeaky wheel gets the bullet.
Yeah, it weren't even 308s, Bron. Yeah, I went back to the head teacher, and I was like, excuse me, he's brought bullets to class. And he went, oh, he didn't have a gun. He didn't have one.
Oh, my God. What town is this?
Oh, it's in the out suburb. Like the
Queensland?
No, Melbourne.
Victoria?
Yeah.
Can we say which suburb? No.
Yeah, but you got to remember, like, Melbourne's Melbourne till about 40 minutes, and then it goes to fucking Victoria.
Yeah, but they're all... maybe. You're right. I did feel a bit... Like, I went through, like, Horsham and Hamilton and all these places.
Yeah.
And
No one's in Colac going, this feels safe.
Well, the funny thing is, though, because
I fucking hate Colac, by the way. I had bombed so hard at that gig, yeah.
I don't mind Colac. I mean, that's where Luke Hodge is from, and I'm a Hawthorn supporter. I love Luke Hodge. Anyway, but the point being... I think I get blinded because when you do the shows, people who come to the shows tend to be a little bit more artsy and don't have that vibe. It's only during the daytime when I'm going for a jog or something. I remember I was in like country Queensland, Kingaroy, and man, I walked into a cafe and there's these two old ladies in their like 70s or 80s. They just looked at me with that frown. Yeah. Like, what the fuck is he doing in here? It was just an awful feeling. I'm like, I just want a coffee, guys.
The cafe or their house?
No, it was just the cafe.
I live here now.
But they were like, this town's gone to shit. Like, look at the...
No.
There was a town in Tassie, and I won't name the comedian as well, but he's, of Asian descent, and this car just kept circling him, and then because the town mustn't have seen like people who were different, and a guy just wound down the window, not racistly, but went, sorry, are you Asian? Like he'd never seen an Asian person before, and he was like, yeah, and he goes, oh, okay, cool, and then just drove off. Like, wow, I've seen one of those.
Yeah, it's that sort of thing though. When you're in the city and you see a cockatoo, you're like, what the fuck are you doing in here? Like, it just feels a bit out of place, That's what that guy was going through.
It's actually a beautiful moment. Yeah,
it's sweet.
I'm sorry, are you Asian? Yeah,
I had in Launceston a bunch of kids, maybe the ages of like, I don't know, 13, 14, that kind of age, on bicycles. They're like, how are you going? And I was about to walk to my gig, and I thought it was like someone who recognized me, and I was like, oh, you fucking fans here. This is so exciting. It's like, how's it going? And I was like, hey, mate. He goes, you fucking Oompa Loompa. He rode off.
Oh my God.
And I was so confused. I was like, where the fuck am I in Oompa Loompa, tiny little orange thing? And then I got to the gig and I was chatting to the other comics. I think it was like Judith Lucy or someone who said, oh, I think the updated Willy Wonka had an Indian Oompa Loompa with the top knot, and I had a top knot that day. So it was actually a spot on. It was not even racist. It was just a really good heckle. But the confusion that I had between going from my ego thinking, oh, someone's recognized me, to fucking Oompa Loompa.
Yeah, but the Oompa Loompa's still on TV, so that's pretty good. You know what I mean?
You are making it sound like you were the person on the bike who yelled that.
Yeah, I feel like that person definitely looked like me.
Absolutely.
So wait, so there was no repercussions to
No,
all
he just
match?
said boys will be boys, Bron. And then I had to like, at the end of the day, I had to get in the car and be like, what the, I actually hate, because I asked the kid to leave and he just refused to leave. Like, it was terrifying. It was terrifying. And then I had to teach him for the rest of the year. And then at one stage they had to bring his dad in because they were like, oh, he's giving this teacher a lot of grief. The dad came in, he looked like he hated women so much. So I was like, well, how am I going to
Connect with this.
Yes, there's no point. And so I just had to.
How long ago was that?
That was about 12 years ago.
So this person is now 25 years old.
Yeah,
if they're still alive.
No, I've looked at him up on Facebook. He is alive and he's rough. And he's great. But I was
kind of hoping this took a turn. You know, you hear of like.
You're hoping he died or something?
No, like where they kind of had like a moment.
Yeah.
And they kind of, had a growth moment of going, no, I'm going to break away from this. And
But I love how they're redoing this story has probably reignited his hatred for you. And now he can easily find which gig you're at. So
I actually do. I mentioned this story in my last show, and I used to use his real name like for the first couple of shows. My brother was like, because no one's actually going to go find him, and he's never ever going to come to my show. No one that he knows is going to come to my show. But my brother was like, you just cannot use his real name. I'm like, God damn it! But he gave me. But boys will be boys.
We talked about this just yesterday. That you told a story about someone that you were like, oh, there's no way they would ever hear it, and then that person's daughter was like, hey, I googled you and found Selma, and you're like, oh, I better not. And you got that story. So you got to be careful. You got to realize
slagged off
that.
So many relatives on so many podcasts, and they're like, I've started listening to this one. You're like, oh, you're not going to like Ep.2.
But I think it's a good awareness for all of us, because we're, especially in a podcast situation, you're like chatting to a mate, you just sort of like, you drop your guard, and then unfortunately this shit like can live forever. You know?
Yeah.
So you
and
just
I have a good feeling this podcast will live forever, especially with this setup.
Yeah. It's going to be online forever.
But you've now, in terms of work hates, you fucking come in strong now. Like anything that we say now is going to look very mild compared to a fucking gun threat.
He was the nightmare in it, but I was the nightmare at the start. I'm just wondering, in your story...
I don't think you're the nightmare though.
No,
where were you
I was annoying.
You were just doing your job though, weren't you? Just trying to wrangle people so that they can learn?
Yeah, but it's also like... I should have had thicker skin. I should have been able to.
This is victim blaming. No,
this is back to Dill's podcast. We're going analysing you, man. Exactly. It's not your fault, babe.
No, but it's true.
Grab a cigarette. It's not your fault.
That's the same bullshit that make people sort of go crazy. Where you're like, oh, maybe I'm being unreasonable because someone's brought bullets in. I should be hard. No, you're allowed to fucking feel.
That was definitely unreasonable. There's other moments where I should have just been like, just get out. Instead, I was just like, oh, he's being a bit rude to me. Whereas, like, as a teacher, kids are going to be rude to you all the time. You just kind of...
Okay. How many years into teaching were you at this point?
It was my first year.
Well, there you go. You got to cut yourself some slack. How do you know and know any? You don't know.
How many times did that classroom make you cry?
Never.
Okay, cool. Because that used to be a fun game. It's like, I reckon we can get them in 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember in year 6, a boy, we had a new year 6 teacher. Her name was Mrs. Bateman, and she wrote her name on the board. And then a boy called Ulysses. His real name, you can listen to it. He's actually done really well. Ulysses got up and rubbed the E out, so it just said Mrs. Batman, and we all we lost her. We're like,
imagine being Batman,
Mrs. Batman,
and she burst into tears.
And
we never respected her.
That's a soft soul. That's an easy break. No.
Sounds to me like Mrs. Bateman got called Batman a lot when she grew up, and he just triggered all of that.
I'm like, that's a cool name. Idiot. Anyway,
at least they didn't go with like Mrs. Changed it to Master Bateman, and that's what I would have done.
Yeah,
but isn't there Bateman Park around here or something? And isn't that guy pretty crook and had to take the name down? Or Batman Reserve?
Oh yeah.
He's like a no good
Batman. I think John Batman or whatever his name is like a slave
dude or some shit. So maybe that's.
Is that the guy who
Yeah.
discovered Melbourne?
Discovered Melbourne.
Yeah, he's
Moreland. They've had to change Moreland to Marybeck because he had slaves.
Yeah, right.
Are you saying white colonial people have got a fucked past?
This
no.
is political correctness gone
I know.
mad.
Oh, you can't even have 3 slaves anymore. It's fucked.
God.
That's again a great edit point.
Yeah, no, that's
a guy in a mullet.
Yeah.
Going, you can't even have slaves anymore. Fuck.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Watch this
But
episode.
Dil, you've got some nightmare stories.
Well, I used to work as an accountant for 9 years in total, but like briefly worked at one of the big accounting firms, KPMG, for about 3 months as their like sort of internship kind of program. Then they offered me the graduate program, which was 6 months, and then they got fired me after 6 months. And then I started working for like a smaller accounting firm that I was doing while I was doing comedy, and only quit 6-7 years ago at that firm, and I still love them, and I still get invited to the Christmas parties and stuff.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So, but in that, I would say the nightmare thing, it's hard to describe because it was in my head, I was always lovable, but I now look back and I'm like, I must have been fucking annoying as well.
Why did you get fired?
Well, I got fired because I was not good. And
Hey, at least you're honest. Like,
Yeah.
It's normally like, oh, this guy Steve had it in for me. It's like, no, I was a cunt.
Yeah.
And, oh shit. Yeah.
I brought bullets to work. I thought they think it was funny.
no, I remember like what it was like I worked in tax accounting, and that was like the least suited area of accounting for me because I'm a very much like a people person. I need to like chat to people to get energy, and then I can do my work. Whereas tax was all about just like look at the legislation like and make reports and stuff. So there was very little human interaction. And
I love that job, Brady. Is that your job?
Oh my God.
What?
Is that your job sometimes?
Tax?
Tax accounting?
No.
Oh, okay.
There's
Sorry.
4
I've misread you.
Oh, I was confused. I was like, "What? Have I said I'm accountant?" I just had an because I've just got a big tax bill, and I'm still like I was
No,
having
that's the
trauma
same.
just then over there, going, "Fuck, how am I going to get 15 grand?" And then you're like, "Brett, was that you?" I'm like, "I was in a different world." Sorry.
Can I give some unsolicited tax advice?
Yes.
Oh my God. So we have the same management, and a couple of years ago, I told them to start giving me only 60% into this account and another 40% into a separate account because
that's a good idea.
Takes the tax out ahead of time, so you only live off the 60% that you get. Then when it comes to tax time, you're like, fuck, this is a huge bill. You're like, oh, well, it's already set aside. Bang.
I did not think of that and did not know that was a possibility. And
That's
thank
my
you.
gift to the
Yeah.
Your
world.
management
Well-
should tell you that. I'd say.
No, not necessarily.
No,
like
I
it's
think
like
they
each
should.
person to their own. Like there's just a lot of comedians who end up on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here because of tax bills.
Yeah, well, I can't even get on there. So that's what I'm like. I want to get on there to pay this tax bill, but they're like, you're not famous enough yet, dude. You know?
It's a trap a lot of us fall into because we get paid in lump sum and you're like, fucking what a great comedy festival. Let's go buy this TV.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, no, you only like roughly 60% of that is yours. The rest is all the tax man.
Let's go buy all these nice cameras.
No, but that's an investment into your career. That's different.
Is it?
Versus me, like what I would end up doing is like splurging on something that doesn't really need, So, but having the 60%, I'm like, all right, I can splurge because that's actually what I've earned. Anyway,
I'm
go on.
learning
you
so much today. Yeah, no.
So you got a tax bill and you're worried. But no, for me, I think my issue was that going through all those books and stuff, it kind of bored me. So I had to muck around. And the muck around was not welcomed in the KPMG system. But what was weird was because I was so personable, I was kind of like given a lot of responsibilities. Like whenever they had like the budget night or whatever, they'd be like, oh, we need one young person to take notes or whatever. Let's bring Dil because he's fun. And I would go there and just get fucking drunk and forget to take the notes or or
Dak the speaker.
I just did not know what any of them were. They're like, oh, that's awful, man. That's terrible. I'm like, yeah, it is.
Mucking around as an accountant. It's like, why do all these numbers end in 69 cents?
Everything is like 58,008. And I flip the screen. And so, actually, fellow comedian Suren Jayamana, he and I worked at the same. We both
right.
got recruited at the same time, and
He'd be good.
yeah, well, he's the reason I got into stand up is because he had done like 3 or 4 gigs before that, and I thought he was the coolest dude ever. So when I got fired, I was like, man, I want to give stand up a crack. Where do I start? And then he told me about the Comics Lounge workshop and stuff. And so then I started doing gigs, and after about 12 or so gigs, he started feeling like, fuck, I got to get back into it.
Yeah.
So then, in a way, we both kind of inspired each other to do stand up again.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, I think for me, the one of the times I was a nightmare, I suppose, is it's more of a long way where in KPMG, they put me in charge of the footy tipping competition. And I was like,
You
great.
did have some big responsibilities.
Well,
You're
yeah,
right.
it was between social and all that. They would ask me where we're going on Friday. Like I was kind of
Okay.
like, you know, and it literally when I got fired, they said to me, we wanted to keep you around because of the boost you have on the team.
You're like the mascot.
Right. But they're like, you'll be doing something you're not suited for. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you got to find what you're good at, which hurt at the
that's
time
nice.
because I'd kind of like dedicated quite a lot of time and my dad's, you know, spent so much money for me to get this accounting degree. So that kind of hurt to say that I wasn't suited for it, but they were spot on, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But the footy tipping comp was like $20 to get in, and there was about 100 of us. So I had about $2,000 in cash, and it was in my drawer. And this is 2009, you got to remember, which meant that ATM fees were still a thing. There was no tap and go, so cash was still around. So every Friday when you needed to go to the pub, I was like, oh well, I can go to the ATM and get cash, or just open the drawer.
Oh, that's going to be dangerous.
Because then it's all there. There's no like I'm not stealing because it's written how much money needs to be in the kitty. Like that's the thing. At the end of the day, when someone
when
wins,
you rob a bank, you go, I'm not stealing. You know how much I've taken.
Yeah.
It's not my problem. Bye.
I am responsible. At the end of the day, the winner gets this exact amount, and it has to come from me. So in a way, in my head, I was like, well, it's just my money that I have to give at some point.
You'll just replace
I'll just replace it,
because you
of
know
course.
how much. 'cause
On an
you've
intern
documented
salary,
it.
$2,000 will be nothing to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fine. It's going to be fine. Then the problem, because I figured footy finals is in September. I've got enough time to earn that money back. But then they fired me in August. So when
gosh.
I then had to hand over the footy tipping to someone else, and I handed it to Suren, and I said to him, okay, so it's about it's about $1,200 short.
Oh my god!
No, dude.
So
Ben, you're praying you win? I've really got to win
I
this
didn't even
tipping.
think that. You're right. Like
You should have put all your work into winning.
I should have rigged it or something.
Yeah.
But either way, no, I was gone, and so I had to hand it to Suren, and then I owed Suren $1,200 for a couple of years.
For a couple of years.
Oh, I owed Suren, like we've talked about this on my podcast. I owed Suren so much money because when we started doing comedy, he was still working as an accountant. I didn't have money, and we'd go to comedy festival shows, and I'd actually use his credit card to book the tickets.
How'd you have his credit card?
Because he gave it to me.
Why'd he give it to you?
Because he
What's on
trusted
him?
me. Like
he should not have done that.
Yeah,
It
here's the
was
guy
an
that's just
idiot.
giving you footing tip that's $1,200 short.
No,
you know
but-
what? He's got a credit card energy vibe about him. Take this. Here's the numbers, champ.
I always held this as
This is
like
on
because that as much as I had low cash flow, my word was like powerful. And asked Suren, he's like everything's been paid off.
Yeah, but what's this turnaround time? Is it like 3 years?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
But I had an Excel sheet. Like so, to date, I have an Excel sheet called HASO or HASO,
Yeah.
which stands for have a shit one, which is all the amount of things I owe different people. Because as soon as someone like shouts me a beer or whatever, and I don't have enough money to shout them back, I type it in there to remember to pay them back someday.
Okay.
So this came up yesterday at the gig we were doing. Daniel Connell, I still owe him a VB from 2011 because he bought me a VB. I didn't have money to buy him back. And he doesn't want, because he doesn't drink beer.
I'll take
so
it.
that's, we'll figure it out with him. If I can give
I'll
you the
message him.
VB,
Yeah.
and then you find a way to get it back to him. There is
I'll give him a massage
single
or something.
egg, one egg that I borrowed from my housemate Lena, who is from Finland.
Yeah.
And she moved to Finland again. So I still have the egg on that Excel sheet that I can't get rid of.
Yeah.
So I'm someone who, as much of a fuck up as I was, and I owed money. The worst thing is there used to be a kebab shop across the road from when I was working as an accountant, but I was such a pisshead. On a Friday or Saturday night when I get back, I'd have no money. So I had a tab at the kebab van. They used to
my
write down
God.
how much money I'd owe
And
them.
this is, and you know, you've turned your life around.
I've been 7 years sober for a reason.
But you were, back in the day, you were a big man.
I was a big man. You think I'm going to stop at one kebab?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that's on them for going, you know what, this guy's
Yeah,
going to pay
look
it back. You know what I mean?
No, but it's like the casino. When you have a gambling addict, you
yeah.
keep making things easier for them to keep gambling. Because you're like, yeah, we'll fly you over. We'll give you an upgrade on your room. That's
We know
what they
he's
were
got
doing.
a job. He works there. We can see him.
Well,
yeah.
we can literally, they can see my bedroom from the kebab van. So
Ooh, that's a bit sexy in the end, wasn't it?
Well, nothing was happening back then.
Oh, but this
Back
giant
then
man
was just me
eating
and just
two
kebabs. Me was double fisting kebab.
Because let's go to the drinking days. Were you a nightmare in the office in the morning? Because
You
partying
have.
deal. I mean, we used to party a fair bit at
Right.
the Expert and drink and stuff like that. And
So I was a bit
were you a
more...
storm?
No, I was better at KPMG because it was a more high profile kind of job and they were very like scared. Like boringly very strict about that sort of shit. So most other accounting firms had like a casual Fridays where you come in with your jeans or whatever, and it's like, well, whatever, who gives a shit, right?
Such a nerdy day.
Whereas in KPMG, it was like you're allowed to not wear a tie. That was the rule. That kind of, there was very nice. So I really didn't fit the culture, and they did the right thing by firing me. The other firm that I went back to, my small accounting firm that I still love, and who my old boss is now my accountant, which I enjoy, having that as a relationship with him, because he was so supportive of me that I'm glad that now I can kind of like.
And you can go, look how much money I'm earning now, cunt. Yeah?
Look at it, but also take 40% out.
Yeah. I got heaps more over there. Heaps more. See these shoes? $3,000.
See these socks?
Yeah. Messina, so they're at least $87 for the socks.
But that one, the two bosses, they loved a drink. So there was like, not often, like, so my job interview was at the pub, for starters, me and the two bosses, and we got
Did
drunk.
you organise the venue?
No, they invited me for lunch, and
you knew it was a good move. You were like, this is me.
They said like, it was really great. And then they would occasionally go out for lunch and then come back pretty pissed and stuff. So there was a bit more of a wobbly culture there in that sense. And the Christmas parties and stuff were just only like 7 or 8 of us in the office, and would just be write-offs. Like the bosses would leave, and me and a couple of the other younger people would just get completely drunk on the boss's bar tab and stuff like that. So it was a fun, better environment. But there were incidents where like I'd came in once, and I got sent home because there was like rips in my trousers,
and because
suit trousers because the night before I was at the festival club and at Hi-Fi Bar, and I decided it would be funny for me to do rock slides across the dance floor, where you just come running and then get on your knees and imagine 125 kilo Dilruk just thinking his knees are fucking impeccable, sliding back and forth on the Hi-Fi Bar dance floor.
You were absolutely spot on. That is very funny.
It is. No, dude, it's so funny, but just go home and have a shower and change your pants. You know what I mean?
Why did you go from the Hi-Fi Bar to work?
Because I only had one pants back then. So I was
owes the kebab man and fucking Seren so much cash.
Oh, I've not even talked about the money I owed my brother over the years.
But I have to ask, how much do you remember? Do you remember how much you owed the kebab person? Like at any given
look, to be honest, it was every 2 weeks I was able to pay them off, because I get paid every 2 weeks.
And you put them before Seren.
Well, Seren felt like
Seren
more
didn't cook a kebab, so yes.
Well, Seren felt more of like a long-term kind of friendship.
Okay, great.
In that sense, where I'm like, I always said Seren, my brother, I'm like, you guys were early investors in Dilruk Incorporated. So I'm like, forever, I'm like, you guys, my brother said he kept moving me between bad debts and probably getting it back. He wasn't sure. So when I got KPMG, he was like, oh, I'll get the money back. Then I left KPMG. He's like, fuck, he's gone back into bad debts. So I've since literally, I'm debt free now. But
great. Except for that egg. Let's not
fucking egg and Daniel Connell's VB. I can't get it off. And there was one dude who gave me $50 at Goldfingers, and I need to give him that $50 back.
Do you know who he was?
Yeah, Max. His name is Max, and he's moved to WA, and he's in the mines. I keep messaging him going,
he's all right. He doesn't need it.
This is, exactly. This is back in 2008 as well.
Goldfingers the strip place?
Yes.
Okay.
What did you think?
I don't know.
Okay.
I was just trying to.
I love how you pretend like you don't know. Oh, is that?
No. I haven't been. So
interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to other ones, but just not that one.
So, the point being,
podcast once again. I go there because I respect working gals.
Yeah, you just want to, buy local.
Yeah. Shop local.
And I want to see someone smoke a cigarette, not with their mouth.
Yeah.
I would actually want to see that live.
Man, it was so much. It's actually burned into my brain. Yeah. Like I can't not see it.
The accounting, the small place though. That's what happened. Was that was one thing with the trousers. Then there was another one. So that one was a bad one where they literally I've never seen my senior boss be more angry at me, because up until then he was always found me like cute and larrikiny, but this was like, mate, like this is just fucking unacceptable.
So you were the problem at the office. You were the guy?
That day for sure. Then there was the day that after St. Patrick's Day, I was at the office, and while talking to my boss, I had to grab his bin and have a little spew.
Oh, yeah. Just say you had morning sickness. I did that all the time.
Pregnancy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have pulled it off, to be honest. My gut was so big back then as well. It's the kebabs, Then that's the other thing. They used to make fun of me because I would go, because I'd be so hungover still, and for breakfast, there's a Sri Lankan shop, it was Jolly J's. I don't know where they're now, but they used to be on Flinders Street. One of the arcades, and I'd get these curry rolls. So they're basically like roti wraps, and they're like fish and beef, and they're so delicious. But at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning in an accounting office, that smell wasn't great.
Oh, so you'd walk in with it, just chow down.
And chow
Everyone's
down,
like,
smelling with beer poured, like you can smell the beer on me.
And you'd ripped pants.
Ripped pants.
bleeding knees. It looks bad now, but it looked fucking sick last night.
On the dance floor, it was fucking awesome. And so that smell was really bad. Then there was, do you remember a game called on the iPhone? You had the rope and fly, you had Angry Birds, and then there was one called Office Jerk, where there's someone sitting and you just keep throwing different items at them, like you have to swipe and try and hit the person. It's like a paper. Some stapler.
But that's cool. Yeah.
So I decided to make my like real life IRL Office Jerk. So I'd set my camera, and there was this. A work colleague of mine, loved the guy to bits. He's now helping me a lot with my accounting, but at the time, so I used to be drunk, and I'd find his chair and I'd film it. I still have the footage, and you just see my hand. It starts off with like paper clips, then pieces of paper, then like a rubber band ball, which hurt him. So then you see him come and attack me.
Oh, really?
Why? Seems
then
like such a friendly thing
I
to
know.
do.
Then the other one, I'd set up the camera.
Eating fish, drunk, bleeding knees, just throwing shit.
Yeah, there was one where I'd hidden camera, kind of set it up, and then like he was just peacefully doing his work, and then you just see like real, just genuine harassment. So you don't see my head, you just see my body walk over to him and just start massaging him, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Just don't worry, just relax, man."
Your fish fingers.
And then slowly my hand just goes into his shirt. He's like, "Get away from me!" So
Office jerk, office perv, whatever. There's a thin line.
And the best part is, he didn't find this funny at all. Like seriously, you'd go, oh, whatever, we were having a bit of a muck
The
around.
boys
Having a bit of a laugh. I look back at the footage, I'm like, he's hating this.
Yeah.
Like, this is...
It was absolutely bullying him. You were the worst. You were the ultimate nightmare. I feel
think
like
so.
this could be our first episode. This might be the ultimate episode. Somewhere we go, and you think they were nightmares? Check out this guy.
But also then you're like, yeah, I'll trust him to do my taxes. He's like trying to fuck you up so you go to jail. Yeah, touch me, you
so
fucking dick.
true.
You know what I mean?
That is so true. You're right.
Can't wait to see the ATO fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's see how you get massaged in prison. Let's see what kind of jerking you'll do over there, champion. Oh, man, I never thought of that. You're right.
Yeah, he's coming for you. He's coming for you. It's a long game.
Look,
yeah.
I think I've turned it around where, now when I go to the Christmas parties and stuff, everyone gets their little individual gift that I buy them and stuff like that.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm hopefully back in the good books with him at least.
Is the individual gift like either a kebab or a curry fish roll?
That's funny.
Oh, man, I
Memories.
should. No, exactly. Look, to be honest, the kebabs didn't make it appearance in that. It was the curry rolls that they would really
You should
smell.
give him this year for Christmas, give him massage oil and then just wink.
Yeah.
No, I
back,
used to
baby.
make fun of him about being very tight with money. And so then I bought him for Christmas once a book called How to Be a Tight Ass or something like that, or Elite Tight Ass or something. And
Man,
again,
that's
bullying again.
I love when office. I mean, not that I ever worked in an office, but I worked at I'll eventually get to this story. I worked at a daycare for a while. I was a bus driver. I had a broken arm, and my mates owned the daycare, so I used to drive the bus with one arm. Anyway, that sounds pretty fucked. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was on automatic, so you only needed
yeah.
one arm. And
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I don't think it's true either. Now I think about it, they had 27 kids.
You're not
and I
like
just
the
feel
fucking
God,
drummer of
daycare.
Def Leppard where you're able to control multiple things with your legs.
No, but I had that little thing on there. It was like a forklift thing. Anyway, my mate gave me the job, whatever. But passive aggressive gifts are the funniest. Like, you know what I mean? It's like my one of the late receptionists, she was always late, so the boss bought her an alarm clock. So it's like, oh, here's a gift, but also
that is passive
you're a fucking asshole.
Oh my
you know?
God! This just reminded me of this is how bad weird I think the culture at KPMG was. As when for Chris Kringle or whatever, everyone got one other person.
Yeah.
And this one girl bought another girl like a 90, which was a little bit on the sexy side, a little kind of cutesy, funny, but it's meant to be more of a gag, really. But it was like one girl to another, and the girl who received it made a complaint to HR, saying that she felt harassed or misrepresented, or in front of all her, which maybe there's some truth to that, where you kind of go oh, what? Because maybe if there were bosses around going, well, hang on, what what's happening behind the scenes that she thought it was appropriate to give that person that gift or whatever. Either way,
it's too much. It's like buying someone edible undies or something, you know? It's like,
yeah,
what? I thought we had that kind of relationship.
Yeah, but it's not edible. I mean, it was just like, it was bare. I don't know. It was on the line, but the fact that it went to HR is the part that made me go, "Ooh, what is this place?" Do you know what I mean? As opposed to someone saying, "Hey, just letting you know," that kind of made me feel uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Especially,
what a dobber.
Yeah.
Just have a conversation and say, please stop buying me lingerie.
it was not even like something. If it was lingerie, I'd go, yeah, fair enough. Maybe that's a bit, you know. But it was definitely a change of guard. Like you see that sort of, you know, like the office culture changing where people were like, you know, when you hear about the 90s and stuff, you know, you have like especially the the British office.
Yes.
You know, that kind of culture of
God.
like the inflatable penis and those types of, you know.
There would have been so many ass slaps, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
At the printer, you know? Hey, toots.
Absolutely.
Oh.
But The Office, the British version of The Office is how I imagine when you talked about how your staff Christmas party went crazy, you know, you all took your ties off and would just got way too drunk too quickly. But you still had that, like, you were still surrounded by nerds, right?
Yeah.
Nerds with beer in there.
Oh, terrible. And I remember
mix.
one Christmas party that was like, this is the big firm, and it was huge. We're not talking like, man, it was like a Rod Laver Arena or something, and every kind of like, the theme was streets of Melbourne, and each room, like function room, was a different street. So it was like Lygon Street was all the Italian food and stuff like that. Lonsdale Still was all the Greek food, and not just Greek food. There were people
Fitzroy heroin.
There was St Kilda, but it was like it was the games area where you got to play like sort of circus games where they're putting the ball in the clown,
Throw the needle. I mean, darts. Yeah.
But in the Greek one, I remember there was like a pillar with these beautiful, like tall pillars with like these Greek gods, like statues and stuff. And suddenly the statue looked at me. I'm like, fuck, it's alive. Like, so this is like, I don't know what the budget on this party was. This one event.
Jesus, that is out of like Succession or some shit, isn't it?
Right. It was the closest to that I kind of felt when like the final room, I think there was like Little Burke, which was the Chinatown thing, and that's where the performer, I think the Young Divas performed for us and stuff like that. Anyway, on the dance floor, there was various Santa Claus hats, and one was like a spiral Santa Claus hat that would go like that.
Hilarious.
I thought it'd be hilarious to attach it to my belt so that it would go
accurate. Absolutely
Like it's a boner.
accurate.
Yeah.
What could go
I
wrong?
mean, at a Christmas party?
I can get it. I get it. You know what I mean?
Anyway,
Like,
I got disciplined for that. And like, not disciplined, but with one of my colleagues going, no, that's too far. Dill, stop it. I was like, all right, fair enough. I'll put it back on the head.
that's what you need, though. You need someone like, this is a little.
Instead of just dobbing on you at HR.
I think so. That was probably the right thing to do because I think, fair enough, I think that was not, it was pretty unnecessary.
Yeah.
And rather than just saying Dill needs to be reported, it's like, hey, fuckhead, pull your neck in.
Man, you know
Especially
where
when-
that would have killed? Every work site I've been
Right.
at. And they would have been like, dude, actually attach it to your dick. That is hilarious. This guy's a coward. He doesn't even have it attached to his penis.
But I
What a
think
loser.
Dill's one, it made it worse because he was wearing that lingerie.
Yes.
It really, the combination was what messed it up.
Exactly.
And,
One step too far.
the hat was blocking the edible undies. Yeah. Annoying.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
Memory just got unlocked. And this is a story that has been told on a pod and has been my stand-up since. But the true story behind it is it was at the small accounting firm, the office Christmas party.
The nice
I had the one that I still love and I go back to the Christmas parties for. We did Chris Kringle. And it was the first year that I told them that I was going to be a comedian and stuff like that. And so my boss had organized 2 DVDs. One was Eddie Murphy's Delirious, which is my favorite stand-up, and Will Anderson's stand-up. So it was like really cute. Later that day, got completely fuck-eyed and was walking home like around 4 or 5 o'clock past, I used to live in West Melbourne. So walking down Spencer Street, trying to get home near the station, and suddenly had to go to the Dunny. And I get there and I actually,
fish.
basically
Curry rolls.
long story short, I close the door and then just there's disaster. And everything's a mess. And all I have, basically, I have to get rid of my pants, shoes. I'm skipping all the gross stuff.
The rips,
Oh, I did. You know what?
they'd been through enough.
I think the rip one got chucked out, and these were new ones
hope
that then
so,
had to
yeah.
get chucked out again.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But that stage.
That's why I couldn't pay Suren back because I'm buying
I'm burning
pants.
through pants here. Brother, my bill is crazy.
No. You know what? Now that I think of it, because this was just at the start of the comedy, so that means because the hi-fi bar is where I was doing the rock slides. So either way, somehow there's pants I've had issues with.
Yeah,
So the
I can
pants
see.
get rid of, and all I have is like this long sleeve T-shirt that I basically wrap myself in, like a loincloth, basically.
Incredible.
And I walk down Spencer Street. But because the sleeves just cover the junk a little bit. It's not too much because it's not because of like any length I have. It's just how fat I was that didn't go all the way around enough. So I had to still cover the crotch. So what I had to cover was Will Anderson's DVD.
Oh my God.
As I walked down.
Now, was Will facing inwards or outwards?
That's the thing. This is so in my stand-up, I say it was a Home Alone DVD, and I go, which side do you face it? Because one side's got a kid going, and which way do you put it off? So that's the fake part of the story. But the truth is, Will Anderson, I can't remember his 2009 show, but yeah, I think he was doing that face as well. I'm like, fuck, which direction do I turn? God. I'm so glad back then camera phones weren't as prominent because there's no doubt. And you know Dave Anthony from The Dollop, he said, why didn't you just take a different street? And until he said that, I never thought about
As
it.
in like not a less
Why
busy
I
one?
took the main
That's
street.
incredible.
I could have just gone like...
Yeah, but if you're shitting your pants, you ain't actually thinking. You know what I mean? Like, if you're that maggot, you're crapping yourself. You're not going like, you know what? Here's another logical idea.
There's
You know what I
gotta be
mean?
someone who's got footage of that. Like, it was
How long was the walk? A kilometre? Less.
Oh, mate. So from Spencer Street to where like the comics lounge is. So that's about that's about a 15, 20 minute walk, I would say. So for 20 minutes,
Can
I was
people
on
beep
like,
their horns
Man.
at you?
there were people. It was because it was Christmas time on a Friday. There were
Merry
people.
Christmas, Melbourne.
People
A gift for everyone. Besides
after
you.
work pub drinks, you know, like people singing, and I'd get a lot of cheers. I remember my favorite moment of this was this point where I was walking, and there was a group of like, you know, late teen, kind of like with car wind open and music pumping, and I'm walking up to them going, fuck, this is not going to be good. And I was like, who the fuck am I judging them as I'm walking naked after shitting my pants
the
going,
problem.
they look like trouble.
Yeah, you're the
Fuck this."
dangerous one.
Hey, mate, is that the Willosophy one? Or which stand-up status? Kill Will? Oh, yeah, no, that's a good one. Yeah.
And then I get to them, and how's this? Fuck, one of the girls in that group, she goes, oh my God, are you okay? Do you need a lift home or something like that?
Wow,
I
that
was
is
like,
so nice.
I judged them. And I'm like,
that was so nice.
I'm like, no, I'm nearly home. They're like, okay, good luck. I was like, fucking hell. Honestly, if there's like, the more I think about it, I'm like, the fact that I didn't get fired more is probably remarkable.
Well, I appreciate your honesty that you were the problem in the office.
I don't know. I wonder how many people are going to say that they were the problem. I don't reckon there's going to be many.
No. It's always everyone else's fault.
Actually, you told a story at the intro episode about you were the problem at Subway.
Yeah.
But you were, though.
I was. I got fired within 4 hours.
4 hours?
Yeah, it was like maybe even 3.5. Yeah. I got
what happened?
I flipped out.
Okay.
I was trying to pack someone a sandwich, but you know our suburbs very bullying and fighty. So and one of the guys who pissed me off, and we used to have a little bit of a thing. He came into the Subway and he was like, "Oh, hello. Now I'm in a position of power, and you're the little bitch." And he's like,
"No, I'm a sandwich artist."
Yeah, I'm a sandwich artist. He's like, "Put some lettuce on." He's like, "Take it off. Like it's too much." And then like he kept saying, "Nah, too much lettuce." "Oh no, put a bit more back on." And I was like, "Fuck you!" And I flipped out, and
Yeah. Suddenly there's fucking cookies up his asshole.
Yeah.
Unlimited refills, can't.
I reacted in a very cool non-fight or flight response.
So imagine you being in an accounting office and you genuinely are just trying to do your work, and you have a colleague who just keeps pegging different things at you.
I would have loved that because I could not work in an office.
Okay.
I would have been a shit stirrer. I'd be throwing things back as if I'd get a job as an accounting firm, you know?
I reckon I have not stopped thinking about your workmate who you bullied relentlessly. I do wonder how he's going.
He's good. I spoke to him.
Himself.
I spoke to him the other day. He's fine. It's just, it was an
Even
era.
though he's got an AVO out against you.
Well, he's got a lot of sensitive financial. The reason I pull it up is because here we go, right there. I found it so quickly.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And
Bang.
Sorry. So what I'm showing them is the various times I bullied my colleague who's peacefully just working.
Neck brace on?
No, he's just got a tie.
Oh.
If he didn't need it.
you think a neck brace looks
You know
like?
what's interesting? I actually donated him that tie. I gave him that tie because I stopped wearing ties
All
at
these
the
people in the
office.
city, you go,
So see, he's peacefully working, and then you have me coming from behind.
oh, he's hating it. Dill, so much.
Oh no, I'm so nervous. Oh.
Man, that's pretty good. But
And then there was the incident where like I fell asleep and then one of the other I started snoring. I got to find that video, and one of the other colleagues started filming me while
Yeah, I
snoring.
need
It was
to
just
see that.
because I was
Yeah.
drunk at
Yeah.
lunchtime and I just passed out. And I just
Were you drunk like you were hungover, or you'd gone out to drink at lunchtime?
that one. Oh.
Could have been both.
I don't think I did too much going to lunchtime and getting
Yeah,
drunk.
'cause
I
that
don't
would
think
be
that
a
was
real
not
problem.
that
The
happened
rest
here
is
and there.
fine.
But I'd only do
everything
that.
else is
But I do
fine.
that only with the boss though. If the bosses invited me, then we'd
Yeah,
all get drunk.
you've got to
that
drink
felt
with the boss.
different. But this was I think this was like hungover and fell asleep at the
Maybe
desk.
and they filmed you.
Yes.
And did you tell HR?
There's no HR. I was HR.
Oh my god.
man, when you kept saying HR as well, I was like, no workplace I've ever been at has had HR.
Well, the
you
big
know?
firm had,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a big fucking multinational corporation. You know what I mean?
Your HR would be very busy.
Yeah. The HR's a bin, and they go, put all your, any complaints go in there.
Yeah, HR is the heroin room.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah,
It's like we had prayer rooms. You guys have HR.
Yeah.
It's just-
Take the edge off.
Yeah, there's a little needle disposal.
It's just you open the door and it just says nerd, and then you close it. Like, yeah.
So now,
Yeah.
now I'm feeling nervous. Like, how much trouble am I in for like sharing all that? Do you think there's like case now to build against me, or can
No,
we
no,
establish
it's no
the
hate.
fact
No,
that
I think you've learned from your past mistakes, and
Right.
you've gone, and now that guy's your accountant. He's going to fuck you up. You're going to end in jail.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to
You
get
will
back
pay
on
for
you.
this.
That's fine.
yeah.
And you've paid all your debts except for that egg. And you also, I think this podcast will be especially nice for people who are being bullied at work, like your friend, who just knows that the person who's bullying them, maybe they'll turn a corner one day.
Yeah, and I think
Shit
so.
their pants.
Especially because as the bully now in hindsight, let's
Yeah.
call me that. I didn't think I was being bullied.
You
Yeah.
didn't.
I was just basically
thought
in
it
the
was
wrong
funny.
environment, and I thought I was like, what is bullying to one is hilarious to someone else.
Yeah.
If you just change the context, you know what I mean? It's like a sliding scene. If you can just change it into one of Brady's workplaces,
Yeah.
they would have found it hilarious. But I
Hilarious.
just happened to be in the wrong environment.
I think the lesson here is if you are getting bullied at work, one day that bully will be a very successful comedian and a multi-millionaire, and your life is
Relax.
fucked and you have to do his taxes. So, yeah. Bullies, we always win. I'll probably have to cut that out.
Honestly, I think that you summed it up perfectly. I just never realized that I was the villain all along.
Really? The guy's wearing jet black? Yeah, I'm the villain. Yeah.
I think you guys have dressed like bullies today. Well done.
We have, yeah.
I would have thought my cute little Messina socks
got
would
Messina
like
socks on.
make me
It's
less
nice.
bullying.
It's true, but I do imagine you're going to go tie those shoes together and throw them over a
No, these are too
thing
expensive
later.
for that
Oh,
shit,
okay,
mate.
very
sorry.
Sorry.
That's right.
Dill, thank you very much for joining us
My
today.
pleasure.
We really
That was-
appreciate your time.
Of
Thanks for
course.
opening up and sharing. Do we have an out? We haven't out yet, do we? How do we do an out?
We're gonna get a
do a thing.
catchphrasey like
Yeah.
No, we'll
like hate. Something like that.
Bullies. Until next time, guys, keep it mean and bullying.
This is the worst.
That's
one.
not it. We're not using that. We delete that.
We'll workshop it. We'll
We'll
workshop
workshop
it.
this.
No,
all right.
it's fine. Good on you, Dill. Thanks so much for
Thank
coming
you,
in.
everyone.
Work
Thanks, guys.
hates. Stay tuned for the next one.
That's not it either. That's not it.
That's
Nah.
more bullying
The
than I've
shotgun?
ever seen. Like,
Shooter McGavin
fucking
over here.
come on.
If I had a gun, you'd be dead.
If I had a gun, you'd be dead.
That's the name of the app.
Amazing.
Fuck.
I've been fired from a lot of places.
You have.
I've been fired from so many places.
I went into the class one day, real bullets.
Kill me.